What if one small act, sitting down, refusing to move, could ignite a fire that would change an entire nation? Would you be brave enough to risk it all for something as simple as staying in your seat? This is the story of Rosa Parks, a woman who proved that sometimes courage doesn't roar, it simply whispers, "No, I will not move." It was December 1st, 1955, in Montgomery, Alabama. The rules of segregation were everywhere, on buses, in restaurants, in schools. A black person's place was always separate, always less. Rosa Parks was a seamstress, an ordinary woman living an ordinary day. She finished work, boarded a city bus, and sat in the colored section. The bus filled, and soon white passengers stood without seats. The driver demanded Rosa give up her spot. The law required her to move. The system expected her to obey. But Rosa didn't move. Her act wasn't violent. She didn't shout. She didn't raise her fist. She simply said, "No." That no was small in sound, but thunderous in meaning. Within hours, Rosa was arrested. Within days, Montgomery's black community organized a boycott of the city buses. That boycott lasted over a year, crippling the system financially and forcing change. Rosa's single act of defiance became the spark of the civil rights movement, fueling leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. and shifting the course of American history. When asked later if she was physically tired that day, Rosa answered, "The only tired I was tired I was tired of giving in." That is the heart of Rosa's courage. It wasn't just about a bus seat. It was about dignity, about refusing to let a system of injustice continue unquestioned. She carried the quiet strength of someone who understood that change doesn't always start with speeches. Sometimes it starts with silence that refuses to move. Psychologists call this kind of act moral courage. It's the willingness to face risk, ridicule, or punishment for doing what you know is right. Research shows that moral courage often begins not with grand gestures, but with small refusals to compromise values. Rosa's story demonstrates how the psychology of resistance works. When one person stands or sits for truth, it breaks the illusion that injustice is unshakable. Sociologists note that movements often begin not with leaders, but with ordinary individuals who make choices that resonate with a collective conscience. Rosa was not a politician. She was not a celebrity. She was an ordinary seamstress who became extraordinary through a single decision. If Rosa's story were told as a parable, it would go like this. There was once a wall built high to keep people in their place. Everyone assumed the wall could never be challenged. But one day, a woman placed her hand on the wall and simply refused to step back. The wall didn't fall immediately, but cracks formed. And through those cracks, light began to pour. Her seat on the bus was small, but her refusal to give it up was the hand that touched the wall. Most of us may never face segregation laws, but all of us face moments when life asks us to give in to injustice, to fear, to conformity. The lesson from Rosa's story is this: change doesn't always come from loud battles. Sometimes it comes from quiet defiance. Maybe, for you, it's refusing to stay silent about unfair treatment. Maybe it's speaking up for someone who has no voice. Maybe it's choosing to live true to your values when it would be easier to just fit in. Rosa reminds us, courage isn't always about moving forward. Sometimes it's about refusing to move back. Rosa Parks taught us that you don't need power, position, or privilege to change the world. You just need the courage to say, no more. So here's my challenge to you. What is the seat in your life, the moment where you are being asked to shrink, to step aside, to give in? And what would happen if, like Rosa, you simply refused? If Rosa's story inspired you, tap LIKE to let it spread. Share it with someone who needs courage today. And forget to subscribe for more modern parable stories that remind us that the smallest acts can create the biggest waves. Because sometimes one quiet no can echo louder than 1,000 shouts.